Hello, everyone. Welcome back to CP 517-WS Digital and Computer System Architecture course. This is part 4 of lecture 11. We talk about directory-based protocol diagrams. Okay, so what do we cover in last part? It's snooping protocol, and last lecture, snooping protocols, diagrams, etc. Right? So then we also mentioned that there are two coherence protocols. One is directory-based, one is snooping-based. For snooping-based, it's more like a decentralized or distributed version. Well, directory-based is more like a centralized, and it's actually more popularly used in commercial product or mainstream product. So we've been talking about those things. Let's do a little bit of reflection to understand how and what kind of requirements are needed for coherence protocols. Typically, we have 4 requirements. First is we determine when to invoke this coherence protocol, and then we want to find the information about the state of the block in the other caches to determine the action, locate the other copies, communicate with those copies, right? We locate, find the information, communicate, right? That's what we do. So for the determine when to invoke coherence protocol, they are pretty much similar across all the systems, including directory-based and snooping-based. Like the state of the line is maintained in the cache. Protocol is invoked if an access fault occurs on the line. While different approaches distinguished by A to C, finding the information, locate the copy, communicate with those copies. Those are different. In snooping-based way, it's more decentralized. Like different people has no centralized copy. We just need those use the bus, the arbiter bus as the medium to communicate. Where in centralized case, we have this directory in the cache or in the memory. Okay. Yeah, this is one of the repetition of what I just mentioned. Orders A, B, C are done through broadcast in bus. We follow in the process, sends out a search, others respond to the search prop and take necessary actions. We can do it in scalable network. We can broadcast to all the processors and let them respond. Conceptually, this is very simple, right? We call this bus-based, this is snooping, similar. So conceptually, this is very simple because we rely on this network or the bus to do all this kind of dirty work. However, bus bandwidth does not scale, or it cannot. We want it to be, but it cannot. Why? Because you have so many traffic on the bus, right? Every fault will lead to at least the P network transaction. That's a lot of transactions. And also you have other things have to go through the bus. So a scalable coherence protocol should be able to handle the same cache states and state diagram, but we can use different mechanisms to manage A to C, like locate, communicate, and changing, or even, let's see, locate, find the state, and changing the state. We can do different ways. How to do that? A scalable approach is directory-based. A directory-based method, how does it work? Every memory block has its own associated directory information. This is pretty good, right? Because why? Because it is centralized. Every block only has one place to hold it. We can just keep this specific block's directory information in handy, right? Whenever whoever want to do it, come here, have a registrar, right? And then we get it. It's like DMV of the entire world, or at least in the United States or New Jersey, right? So we know what the vehicles information are in DMV. So we just have to go that place and find the status. That's it. So in this case, we basically keep track of the copies of the cached blocks and their states. On this, we find directory entries, look it up, and communicate only with the nodes that have copies if necessary. So this makes it very scalable. We don't have to broadcast or dump the traffic to the entire bus and let other people snooping. We have the target. We know where we should send the information because the directory keeps track of those target destinations, right? In scalable network, communication with directories and copies are through network transactions. That is pretty much like a network-based directory-based, a network as a media-based directory coherence protocol. There are many alternatives to organize the directory informations, but the essential idea is we have a directory associated with the corresponding block. So the directory protocol, like the snooping protocol, we have 3 states of the memory. First is the memory is in shared state. That means its reading is clean. In uncached state, which means nobody is caching this cache block, this memory block, so it's off the cache. Exclusive means only one processor owns the data. In the memory, if it's read back, it's typically out of date. Okay. In addition to cache state, we must also track which processors have the data when in the shared state. What do we do? How we do that? We use actually a bitmap. Okay. We're going to discuss this bitmap later. Please bear with me. So we keep it simpler. We write to non-exclusive data. We have read miss. Okay, it does not mean the data is not there in the cache. It's just this is a read miss. The processor blocks until access completes. Assume messages received and acted upon in order sent. Directory protocols, no bus and don't want to broadcast. We don't need it because the interconnect is no longer, in this case, the interconnect is no longer a single arbiter point. All the messages have explicit response and targets. There's a couple of terms for the memory location. It has local node, where a request originates, home node, where the memory location and directory entry of an address resides. Note, the physical address is statically distributed, like NUMA. Remote node has a copy of a cache block, whether it is exclusive or a share. The home node actually holds the data, right? Local node is where a request originates. Okay, can we use 10 minutes to figure out how these following actions would happen if a local cache or the source just send something to the home directory saying there's a read miss, or the source send a home directory saying, okay, there's some write miss, or from where the data locate, send to the remote cache, there's invalidate, send remote cache, there's a fetch. From the data where we reside, send a remote cache, there's a fetch or invalid and invalid. From a home directory to local cache, send a data value reply. From remote cache, send data to the data reply to home directory. Can use 10 minutes to figure this out. Okay. Okay. I did think this would be easier for people to understand. We have like local node, home node, remote node, right? So this is how we understand it. Home directory means where the memory block reside. Okay. Local node means who send a request. Okay, who send a request. And let me. Right. So local cache means who send a request. Remote cache has the copy of the data, either exclusive or shared. Okay, this is how it works. Then come here, assuming local cache sends something to the home directory. Local cache sends something to the home directory. Read miss. What are we gonna do? Okay. So from the home cache to home directory, write miss. Home cache to home directory to remote cache, invalid. Home directory to remote cache, fetch. Home directory to remote cache, fetch and invalid. home directory to local cache, data reply, home directory, remote cache to home directory, data write back. Okay, what are the actions? I think these are very clear right now. Please try to use 10 minutes to solve this problem. Pause the video. Okay, welcome back. See, here are the situations for local cache, send a readmes to home directory. Then this home directory has to put this address as shared status, right? And mark P as read share all if it is already shared. Okay, from local cache to home directory of readmes, then it has to put a readmes address A, mark P, the exclusive owner of the requested data. From home directory to remote cache, invalid a shared copy at the A. Fetch the block at A and send it back to home directory, change the status of A in the remote cache to shared, okay? And then from home directory to remote cache, fetch and invalid. So we just do whatever we do fetch as well, and then we set this remote cache as invalid. Home directory to local cache of data value reply, which means the local cache just requested the data. So we reply the data to the this is basically a readme response right here. And then from remote cache to home directory, this is basically write back. Okay, write back of the value and invalid response. So now we go to the state transition for one cache block in directory-based status system. Systems are identical to snooping case. Transactions are very similar. Transactions caused by readmes, invalid, and data fetch requests are very similar. And we have the same number of states like invalid, shared, and exclusive. Readmes that were broadcast to the bus for snooping now is explicit invalid and data fetch request. On the right, a cache block is bigger, so need to read the full cache block. See here, the left side is the snooping, right side is the directory based. You can see they are almost identical. We can go through them one at a time. From invalid to shared. Note, this is staying in the cache block perspective, okay? I think I can copy a figure here and let you know what I mean by standing at the cache block perspective. Okay, so I have copied this here, so it's easy for everybody to see that, even it's very crowded. The left side is the snooping, right? So it's very clear to us right now. For this one, from invalid to shared of the cache block, right? So assuming we're standing here, okay, whoever has the cache. From invalid to shared, so which means we're requesting the data, right? From shared to invalid, which means some people wants to invalidate us, right? Like the home directory invalid us here. Here, home directory to remote cache invalid, right? And then from shared to exclusive, what we have is assuming process I is reading this data later, it has to write it, okay? So that's how it works. And then from exclusive to shared, which means some other people requested the data, right? So it's where here? There's a readmes from a local cache to home directory, right? See, there's a read miss here. And then there's one other case that fetch the data, sending data back here. Here. Here, right? So the data is fetched from home directory to remote cache. The home directory fetch data from remote cache. So fetch the block at A and send it to home directory, change the status of A to shared, right? And then from exclusive to invalid, one case is fetch and invalid here, fetch and invalid. And then from invalid to exclusive, it's basically we request to write, like local cache, we request to write it, right? It's the same, similar. Same states, structures, a transition diagram for individual cache, two actions upon direction state, send message to satisfy the request, track all the copies of the memory block, or indicates the actions that update the sharing set share roles, as well as sending a message. For this one, for if we stand at a memory perspective, okay. See here, we stand here, home directory. So what we do is from uncached to shared, it means someone requested the data, right? The read miss. From uncached to exclusive, it means someone requests to write this data. Okay. And then from exclusive to uncached, it means this data is written back and replaced by other blocks. Okay. From exclusive to shared, it means there's a read miss by other local cache. Okay. And then from shared to exclusive means this remote cache wants to exclusively own this data. Write miss, data replacement. For example, local cache want to write to this home directory. So right now, remote cache has exclusive, right? Then it replies the data back to home cache and change it to exclusive and give it to local cache. This is why it works. Okay. So I think this explains those cases, right? So for message sent to home directory causes two actions, update the directory, more message to satisfy the request. When the block is uncached, the copy in memory is the current value. Only possible request for that would be read miss and write miss, right? We already explained. When the block is shared, the only valid case would be read miss or read miss. Okay. In read miss, requesting processor is sending back the data from the memory. Requesting processor is added to the shared set. In write miss, requesting processors send the value of all the processors in the shared are set to invalid message. Share role is set to identity of requesting processor. The state of the block is made exclusive. When it's in exclusive, you have actually three cases, right? First is read miss. Oh, sorry, read miss. Read miss, the owner processor send data fetch message causing state of the block in the owner's cache to transit to shared and causes owner to send data to directory where it is written to memory, sent back to requesting processor. Identity of requesting processor is added to set share roles, which still contains the identity of the processor that was owner. The state is shared, okay? For data read back, owner processor is replacing the block and hence must read it back, making memory copy, okay? The block is now uncached and the share set is empty. For write miss, block has a new owner a message is sent to the old owner causing cache to send the value to the block to the directory from which it is sent to the requesting processor, which becomes the new owner. Sharers is set to identify the new owner, and the state of the block is made exclusive. Maintains is exclusive, right? See here. So from exclusive to uncached, right? It means that data replacement from exclusive to red means staying exclusive, changes new owner. From exclusive to shared, it means some other processes requested the data. So that's why you have to do fetch and write back. Right? Okay. I think that's it for this part.